Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4. We're going to do a brief recap of the previous 3 videos, and I'm going to show a couple things real quick, and then make sure to join us next week on Halloween, October 2021, where we're going to do our very first live Q&A. We're going to talk about the network stuff. We're going to talk about the previous videos, any questions you may have on basic networking. Even if you have questions about basic gear software, it's an open question and answering question. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, so let's get started. First, internet. Upload speeds are very important. Test them as often as possible. We're going to go ahead and demonstrate right now. So just to give you an idea, let's say you're going to do a live broadcast to Facebook with your phone. So this is my iPhone right here. The first thing you're going to want to do is test. Now, I recommend you test your cell data and your network data, your Wi-Fi, because depending on which one's best, that might be the one you want to use. So let's just make sure I am not on Wi-Fi. It says Wi-Fi is off. So I have an app here to test speeds. So this is cellular data, or it should be. I'm getting a little nervous with that little symbol there, but it should be cellular data. Let's go ahead and run this. And this is an iPhone 11. That download speed is not very impressive. Now this is going to use an app. So your phone is probably going to look at this information. It's going to compress your video. Facebook, I think, only does like 720p. If you're doing YouTube, I don't know if you could use it on your app or not, but let's say you're going to a platform like YouTube, that could do up to like 4K. But with these speeds, you're going to have a hard time. Now, depending on your speeds, you could make adjustments. But if you're streaming from your phone, this might be okay. But it's probably going to be 720 or later, lower quality. So let's go back. Now I'm going to connect to my Wi-Fi. It should automatically connect. There it goes. Give it a few seconds. Let's go back to the speed test. So now I should be on Wi-Fi. Gonna hit go. Yeah, that's the Wi-Fi. Now look at the difference in upload speed. Now, again, depending on your internet in the house, depending what you're paying for, what's being provided by your internet service provider, these numbers are all gonna vary. But these numbers are better than cell data right now. So I'm going to trust, even if I'm using my phone, I'm going to trust my Wi-Fi before I'm going to try to stream with cell data. Now, if you look at the upload speed, I'm showing 11.8 on the upload speed. My recommendation, and I know a lot of people are going to say differently. I know if you go to your Zoom website, probably says you need at least 3 megs up for video conferencing. This is my personal opinion. Anything less than 10, it's not going to work that great unless you adjust everything. You're not going to try to do, I'm doing 1080p at 60 frames. You're not going to do 1080p comfortably, especially if you start adding 2, 3 cameras and all this gear and software and start doing, the more you add, the more it's going to tax your internet. 10 is minimum in my opinion. So that is about that. Let's come back over here. So the second video, what were we looking at? What we're talking about? We're talking about your router. So you have the router that the internet service provider provides. You have, routers you could get from Best Buy, any store, which is fine. It's good depending on your needs, depending on the size of your home. Those are fine. You have a larger home, and I know a lot of people are gonna be like, you could get extenders, you could get repeaters. To me, they're a hassle. You're better off with some type of mesh system. I've used Google Wi-Fi in the past with a lot of locations, a lot of people that we support and all that. We used the Google Wi-Fi before. I think they're called Nest Wi-Fi now. They're not bad. They're good. They spread around the house. You just got to be careful. They got to be within a certain range of each other. So you got to make sure you're good to do all these testing. What I didn't care for was they're an app base. You can't use a web browser. You can't use anything else to mess with these things. You have to use the app. Then there's my personal favorite, which is what I call the modular setup. Especially if you're gonna start doing stuff like streaming in your backyard, you have a garden, you're trying to do let's say YouTube videos or something outside. You want to extend your network outside. You want to have good Wi-Fi outside. So with a modular system, you could do stuff like that. And I did it in one of my videos before, not something that's on this channel, where I temporarily installed this Wi-Fi access point to my network, and I basically plugged it in and everything on my back porch, on my deck. And I had Wi-Fi all through my backyard. Now, let's come over here. Now, let's talk about data cables. So, I'm going to put the link below, website that they had a real nice video in detail talking about data cables. There's only a couple things I didn't care for. Excuse me. They said Cat 5 here. It's Cat 5e. Now, could you find Cat 5 or Cat 3 or any of the older stuff? I'm not sure, but I do want to clarify this. It's Cat 5e. He's got the speeds and distance in here in millimeters. We could convert it to feet. Just Google it. There's another thing I want to correct. The Cat 7. Cat 7 can do 10 gigabits for the entire length of 100 meters, but, and I had to look this up because I thought that information was different. I think in my previous video I said it did 40 gig for the full length. I'm correcting myself now. This is what I found. Cat 7 cables, 100 gigabits for the first 15 meters. Now, 15 meters doesn't sound super long. If we convert it, I have no idea what it is, but it's long enough to probably run in my office. So that's insane. But remember, 100 gigabits, we're not talking internet. We're talking probably local data communication. But if your computer cannot handle that kind of speed, what do you need it for? I do not recommend Cat 7 for that reason. Even if you're doing stuff at 10 gigabit speeds, Cat 6A to me is the way to go. And that's going to be it for today. Have yourself a good one.